Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
Welcome to Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Ptaszek. Marge was searching for the purpose of her life and the truth that would tie everything together to make sense of what was taught and what was happening on our planet, the fire that was creating all the smoke. Through many experiences, she was finally led to the knowledge book that provided all the answers. Marge is now talking about this gift to humanity on Knowledge Book Radio, so all can be united in peace, love, and harmony. This live call-in show at 1-800-930-2819 is amazing. So get ready to hear about the knowledge book. Here's your host, Marge Ptaszek.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marge Ptaszek, and you are listening to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Ptaszek on Transformation Talk Radio. For the next hour, we will continue to cover some topics from the Knowledge Book, and this week we're going to talk about and address the questions that we received from our listeners. And there are a few that we didn't cover the last time we had this session, and now the questions have accumulated, and we're going to address those questions as well today. But before we go on with the listener questions, just want to remind you that our website is www.usa.theknowledgebook.net. The Turkish Main Center World Brotherhood Union website is www.dkb-davidkiteboy-mevlana.org.tr. My personal contact information for texting or calling with either comments or suggestions or questions is 973-787-7035. My email address is mmjp99@gmail.com. Otherwise, also maryjohnpeter99@gmail.com. And again, this is either for texting to my telephone number or emailing to the email address whatever questions that you have, either from today's topics that we're covering or from previous shows, or to suggest new topics or areas of interest to cover in future shows. So all of these are welcome, and please do contact me. So let's continue on with the questions. The first question we're going to address is, okay, where did the knowledge book come from? We can take this from two aspects. In the one hand, the physical aspect of where the book physically came, and from the advanced dimension level on the invisible level. So on the physical level, the knowledge book was actually dictated in Turkey. And it was dictated to a woman called Vedia Bülent Ansu Çırak, who currently lives in Turkey, in Istanbul. She was born in 1923, and, well, we're just about her birthday, where she's turning 95 this year. So it was physically written by her in the same manner that the Quran was brought in by Muhammad. So and actually the book was written in Izmir in Turkey. But however, Mrs. Çırak had to move to Istanbul, since that is the place where the magnetic field was formed, the alpha magnetic field was formed for the knowledge book, and that's where the main center is. So the physical copy was actually brought in by Mrs. Çırak onto this planet. Now, the interesting thing about this is that right about the time that the book was started to be dictated, this was back in 1981, during that time, more than one sacred book, more than one teaching, more than one group actually was looking for a book, because everyone knew and was expecting that a book was supposed to be coming onto this planet at about this time. So I know for a fact that there are certain individuals who are physically looking for a book somewhere on this planet. They expected the complete book to be ready to be picked up somewhere. However, and this may surprise some people, the Knowledge Book tells us that not even some of the celestial authorities knew who was going to receive this book on this planet. In fact, they had a searching party looking for an individual who was supposed to bring this book into this planet and onto this planet. So Mrs. Chirac at some point was, two individuals came to visit her. They asked her a specific question, and she answered in a specific way, and apparently it is by this way that they were able to find her, and she was the one that was supposed to be bringing this book in, and she was told that she has a responsibility of spreading this knowledge, of giving this book to the entire humanity, to the entire planet. Now, I don't know about anybody else. If somebody had come in and told me, that, hey, listen, Marge, this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do. So get going, and you're responsible for the entire planet, I would have passed out. So apparently Mrs. Chirac, who is a very conservative individual, a very solid and stay individual, basically said, okay, guys, well, I don't know anything about this. I don't think I could do this job. I think you got the wrong person. And in fact, she recommended others to do this. And the celestial authorities, of course, they were surprised. Well, you volunteered for this, woman. Hello, don't you remember? How can you forget that you had promised and you had made a covenant? You've made an agreement, a contract with us to bring this book to humanity and thereby to allow humanity to be saved. So eventually, after 10 years of being taught and shown and examples being given and teachings being made to her, after 10 years, she finally said, okay, fine. I understand this is what I am supposed to be doing. I understand what's going on. I understand that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I know I'm not lying or deceiving anyone. And I know I'm not being lied to or being deceived either. So she went on and she started doing her work with an ease of heart. And we are now, thankful for this because she was the one that brought this book to us. And in case anyone thought that one individual cannot make a difference, after all this time, recently I was in Turkey, and in the audience were over 2,000 individuals, and those are basically a small subset of the rest of the individuals that are studying the Knowledge Book right now on the entire planet. There are about 36 or, a little less than 40 countries who are studying this book. The book has now been translated into 22 languages and is being studied throughout the book. North America, South America, Central America, Russia, mostly all of Europe, South Africa, everywhere. So it's amazing to see how people can be unified, how people can come together in a similar attitude, similar wavelength, similar direction of forming peace on this planet. So this is the physical aspect. Now, the book itself was written in 12 years and came down basically in 6 chapters a year, the first 6 months of the year. And after 12 years, the book was complete. Now, interestingly enough, we've talked about the writing program, we've talked about the reading program. So those individuals who initially started reading the Knowledge Book and started writing the Knowledge Book did so 1 chapter at a time. And one individual that I had met, it took her 12 years to write the Knowledge Book, was because that's how long it took for her to get the entire book, And the same thing came for the reading. So eventually every country, depending on the country's consciousness level, when that country is ready, then the book gets translated into that country's language, and the people start working with the Knowledge Book. And eventually, when their consciousness grows through those fascicles to a certain level, then the purple book is published for that country. So United States and the English-speaking countries basically were the lucky ones because they received the knowledge book, which came down in Turkey, which was written in Turkish, then was translated immediately into English. So English and Turkish were published simultaneously. And so 12 years it took to bring down this book. Now, that's one level. So where did this book come from on the invisible level? Invisible level, basically the source of this knowledge book is the source of all the knowledge that we have received onto this planet throughout millennia. These are the same celestial beings, the same celestial authorities that have been teaching us, training us, guiding us, providing us information, providing us methodologies for us to be able to work with those methodologies during the time that we were at a specific dimension, and for us to be able to transcend dimension to dimension to dimension. So if we could review a little bit, number one, the original program that was taught to us by the celestial authorities was that of meditation, and that was drawing down time consciousness or cosmic energies into ourselves using thought power. Not everyone was able to successfully work this method. However, those who were successful in accomplishing this then went on to, finished their evolution through this method, and they are now back onto this planet as teachers, as the teaching staff and the solar teachers in the knowledge book. Okay, now, and then of course Moses came in with law, or Moses came in with certain instructions and methodologies, so that was the program of Moses. The program of Moses was not overly successful because instead of those individuals who had promised to work with him, in fact, rebelled against him and rejected him. So the program of Moses was not very successful. However, those who did work and with the program of Moses, they were saved and they were able to save their families as well. Then, of course, came Christ with the New Testament. He brought in love frequency. He brought in the alpha energies. And because of these alpha energies, for the first time, the celestial authorities noticed a change in the human beings, in the human being consciousness, and the human were able, because of this love frequency, to calm down, to settle down, to be relaxed, and be able to then to start absorbing cosmic energies. It is the cosmic energies, of course, that enables us to evolve, to grow, to change dimensions. Okay. And then, of course, came the Quran with Muhammad, and his was the program of knowledge, because knowledge is absolutely necessary for a human to attain consciousness. So we have two steps that we need to go through. Number one, attaining the love frequency, which is a 72nd dimension, and then attaining knowledge. Starting point was the Quran, which was a book of knowledge, not a book of religion, but a book of knowledge, and a book of social knowledge, of how to work with individuals, how social groups are supposed to interact. Okay, and then that brought humanity up to the 72nd dimension, because the Quran actually engrafts humans with the 18th evolution dimension, which is the 72nd energy dimension. And then that series of steps prepared all those individuals who have not been successful with the meditation program initially to get to the level to be in the knowledge book, and the knowledge book then continues this training and takes us from the 72nd dimension to the 76th dimension. So again, the knowledge book on the invisible side of things, not the physical side of things, actually comes from the source that we have known as God until today. However, the knowledge book tells us that this source, or the origin, is actually very, very, very far away, billions of light years away. And that dimension is called the dimension of the All-Merciful. This is the union of central suns, and this is the light universe. So this is where the knowledge book and all the previous sacred texts and all the knowledge that has been given to our planet comes from. So I hope this kind of explains as to where the knowledge book comes from, both on the physical aspect and on the invisible aspect in terms of the source. Then we'll go on to the next question, which is, who is Mrs. Chirac? And, why her, not anybody else? Why is she the one through whom this book was dictated and given to the planet? Well, on the mundane side, she's a high school graduate, does not have a college degree. She was a mother, wife and mother. She has one child, a daughter. She apparently tells us that she's had a very comfortable life, a very happy childhood. One of the side notes was that one of the things that's going on right now is that if people notice, more and more women are involved in movements. More and more women are becoming involved in bringing about social change, bringing about spiritual change, bringing about all kinds of good things into this planet. However, in Turkish society, women are not treated or were not treated seriously in the sense of, well, they can't do much anyway. They could have their tea, they could have, their social lives, they could play cards, whatever. They're not going to do anything, they're not going to be dangerous in any way. They can't do anything humongous. However, it is because of this attitude that the women were ignored that they were able to actually put this organization together to bring the knowledge book in, to be able to spread this knowledge book to many countries of this planet and be able to start the process of saving humanity. Okay, so she was not, in another sense, she was not permitted to have a higher degree, because in that case, then some individuals would have said, well, she just dreamed this all up and put it all down. It's her imagination, it's her kind of stuff, and this, of course, cannot be the case. If you read the knowledge book, you see what the depth of knowledge in it is, and the source of the knowledge cannot be our world knowledge, because a lot of that is basically in the realm of what some would consider science fiction. But anyway, on the other hand, Vedia Bülent Ansu Çırak is also the reincarnation of Rumi, and this is Jalaluddin Rumi, who was a Sufi, a mystic. This is the mystic Islam. This is the whirling dervishes. This is whirling all the time because you're facing God in all directions all the time. So she is the reincarnation of Rumi, and where her mission before was to bring in the Mesnevi to the entire planet, because the Mesnevi has the same kind of engraftment, the same kind of energy as the Quran has. However, the Quran, when it is being read and it is being worked with, it needs to be done in Arabic. And the Quran, only in Arabic, then when it is studied in Arabic, is able to bring into the individual those energies, those frequencies that the Quran is capable of giving to us. So what the Mesnevi were, which were then translated into many languages in our planet, what the Mesnevi did was it basically give the energies and frequencies of the Quran to the entire planet. So this was her mission at that time, back in the 600s. That was her mission and her time, and now her mission in this time is to bring in the knowledge book. And interestingly enough, the Mesnevi was the first time that when a book was translated into other languages, that book contained the same energies and frequencies as the original. So it was no longer you had to study the book in Arabic in order to get the energies and frequencies, just like in Sanskrit, just like in Tibetan, you had to study and work that practice in Tibetan, in Sanskrit, for you to be able to absorb those energies and frequencies, recite those mantras in Sanskrit or Tibetan to be able to absorb those energies and frequencies. This was the first time when a book was translated into another language, that other language then contained the energies and frequencies. And this is exactly also what the knowledge book does at this point. When we read when the fascicule is read at a focal point in Turkey, we get the original word frequencies in Turkish. However, when we read the knowledge book in all the other languages that it's translated into, then we get the frequency of meaning. But it's the entire same frequency no matter what, whether it's in English or in Spanish or in Serbian or in Croatian or Italian or Swedish or Dutch or whatever language, or Russian or Hebrew, whatever language, that book contains all the energies and frequencies that the original has. Okay, so that kind of covers Vedya Buland Ansut Shirak. If you have any further questions or would like more information, please do email or text or call. Now, this is a question that I myself had, because when I originally opened the book, I saw this gentleman at the front of the book. He's looking up to the right to the sky. And so the question here is, who is the man at the front of the knowledge book and why is he there? Well, the man that I learned later, his name is Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, and he is the first missionary that came into Turkey and actually prepared Turkey to be a democracy that allowed then to prepare an environment into which the knowledge book can be given. So he is the one who basically eliminated the Ottoman Empire, that basically put in a different alphabet system, that put in a different government, that put in the ability for women to actually hold office, for women to be educated, and to women to be equal members in society and equal rights in society. So he prepared the country of Turkey, which is a missionary country. And if you may notice, more and more Turkey is in the forefront, and more Turkey is playing a role in the world affairs where it was more quiet before. So this is Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. In November, I think, is the anniversary of the formation of Turkey as a democracy. And there is always some kind of celebrations going on in Turkey in November when we come in. So it's Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. As to which kind of celestial being he is, we don't know. That has not been revealed. Okay. So then, actually, there's a lot of information on Ataturk, and he was a very famous individual as far as the world is concerned as well. Apparently, many countries and many people high in office knew about him, recognized him, and he put in an educational system. He did all kinds of reforms in Turkey. His motto is peace at home, peace in the universe, and a sound mind in a sound body. Okay, so let's handle the next question, and this is this knowledge book another religion, and is this a religious book? We get this question all the time. And the answer is both yes and no. In fact, it's one of the contradictions that are in the knowledge book, because in one case it says it is a religious book, and in another case it says it's a book of science and learning, and is a book of truth, and it is not religious, and it is not, a religion. So basically, it's both. In a sense, it is a religious book because it still deals with religion. It still deals with and gives religious frequencies, religious energies, and restates and reinforces the religious knowledge. Okay? So we still have laws and ordinances by which we need to abide. We still have energies and frequencies that are of the 72nd dimension, or the love dimension, coming from the knowledge book, which, of course, is the alpha frequency, the alpha dimension, which is the 72nd energy dimension. Now, all the previous programs that were given to humanity previously, like the program of Muhammad, like the program of Jesus, like the program of Moses, like meditation, they're all included in the knowledge book. So when you come into the knowledge book, you are basically at the 72nd energy dimension, and that's about the only time that we can tell more or less as to what dimension the person is in, because when a person gets the knowledge book or learns about the knowledge book, then we can definitely say that that person is approximately at the 72nd energy dimension. the 18th evolutionary dimension, the alpha dimension, because that is your entryway. This is your door. This is the license that's necessary for you to be able to go into the knowledge book. The knowledge book does not come into anyone's life until that individual is ready for the knowledge book. There are many instances where the knowledge book can be on the table, the knowledge book can be in front of someone, and they will literally not see it. They will literally not be able to know that this knowledge book is there or see it at all because they are not ready for it. If they happen to see it for some reason, or if it's like forced upon them in the sense that, look, this is the book, this is new, this is this, and this. However, they will find some reason to reject it. They will find some reason to scoff at it or to not look at it. So it is only those individuals who have the permission, meaning who are at the level, energy, frequency, consciousness level, to handle the book, so that the book will be able to help them and not hurt them and protect them. That's when the knowledge book comes into their lives, okay? And the book deals with religion. In the sense, it actually tells us that they are telling us in this book what they've told us previously in the previous books. But they need to say it again because we haven't gotten it yet. They repeat the same things over and over for us to be able to finally get it, to get to the level of consciousness, energy, and frequency, to be able to understand it and retain it and live it. Okay? So it puts religions, however, in its right perspective. It puts a framework around it as to why the religions came, why they did what they did, why they did how they did it. It was a time of formal worship because that was the way that we were able to then bring in those energies and frequencies that those religious dimensions or those religious teachings were designed to do. And they also explain how the religions work and how they were supposed to be working. And it comes from the Alpha channel. So this is why it's still a religious book in the sense that it deals with religion, has religious energies and frequencies, has religious knowledge, and has the previous programs that we had before. So it's still a religious book in that sense. However, it is not only a religious book. It is not a religion, but a unification of religions, because all the texts, all the essence, energies, frequencies, and knowledge of the previous religious texts are included in this book. All the previous programs that were given throughout time to humanity are included in this book. So we have the program of law and obeying the law in the knowledge book as well. We have the program of love. The knowledge book itself is a gift of love. This is the greatest gift of love that ever given to humanity. This is a means by which we can absorb those energies and frequencies, go through the lessons we need to go through to be able to save ourselves by saving others. It is a book not of religion, but a unification of religions, and it gives knowledge. And where religions and where we are in the religious dimension, we still are dealing with miracles. We are still, meaning like with Christ's miracles, working miracles. And miracles, what are miracles? Miracles are those occurrences for which there is no explanation. But now we've gone past the miracle age. We've gone out of the religious dimension, and we are given knowledge, true knowledge, and expanded knowledge. The technological dimension has been revealed. So part of the mystery that is given in religion, basically, how does karma work? I was told, don't bother trying to understand it because it's a mystery. No one knows what it is. However, the knowledge book explains what karma is and gives us definite examples of how it works, what it does, and how it is accomplished, and why it's there and how it works. So where before karma was explained as a mystery, right now karma is explained as to how it works, how it functions. And not only does the knowledge book gives us definitions and how things work as far as karma is concerned, it gives other knowledge as to what God is, what dimension that is, what the Trinity is, how it works. We are able to know what dimension does what, and we are given the truth as to how all came to be, how the world came to be, how we came to be, who we are, what part we need to play, and what part we play in the entire scheme of things. So we find out who we are, where we are, why we're here, why everything goes the way it goes, and why we've been living the way we've been living up till now. Now, not only the alpha energies are given, or the 72nd energies are given from the knowledge book, but the knowledge book gives us consecutively, as we are ready for it, goes to the 73rd, 74th, 75th, and the 76th energy dimension. And the 76th energy dimension is the beta dimension. And when we're finished with the training in the alpha, our alpha line connection is cut off, and we are connected to the beta line. And this is where we have the option and we have the ability to connect with our spiritual totality and are able to succeed in saving ourselves, okay? So the secrets and the mysteries that we knew as secrets and mysteries are being opened. They're being opened clearly. And, well, they're saying it's clear, but however, sometimes it's hard for us to understand if we're not at the level of those frequencies that knowledge is contained in. Okay, so it's both an alpha and a beta book. It takes us from the alpha, conveys us to the beta by undergoing and by working through the programs with the knowledge book, like the writing program, like the reading program, like the council, like the reflection focal point, like the flowers, like the totalities of 18 and the totality of 18 flowers. These are all programs specifically designed for us to be able to evolve, to go through the experiences we need to go through, to be able to evolve and continue forward and be able to exist on our planet, or actually to exist, period. Okay, so the next question is, how many dimensions are there? Infinite number of dimensions. For an example, they said that, there are so many dimensions that if they had given all the dimensions for a particular span of things, and if we listed the names of the dimensions one on top of the other, then the names of those dimensions would be the distance between the Earth and the Moon. That's the number of dimensions that are just in a certain segment of dimensions. They're not all of them. So what they've tried to do is basically given us basic information like Allah, like the Lord, like Almighty, the Absolute, like all merciful. They're trying to give us specific dimensions that we need to specifically know and understand for us to be able to proceed. Okay, so there are infinite number of dimensions, and when we do the reading program from our purple book, where every individual who has a purple book has their own signature in it, meaning they have the date, the printed name, and their signature in black ink, liquid black ink, somewhere on the white space of the page that has the emblem in color on the knowledge book. That means that knowledge book then opens up to the infinite dimensions and gives to us, as we're reading that knowledge book, those energies, those frequencies that are specifically needed by us at that particular point in time. And we are able to understand the knowledge that is specifically at our frequency level, at our evolution level, and over time, as we increase in evolution, as we increase in consciousness, as we increase in our ability for our body to absorb higher energies and frequencies, then we understand more, we remember more, and we are able to absorb more as we go along. So every time we go through and read, we are able to incrementally increase the energies that we are absorbing, and also as time goes on, whenever the knowledge book is being read, there are certain specific energies and frequencies that become available at that particular point in time. So not only are we getting those energies and frequencies that are of historical nature, meaning of everything that came before, but we are also receiving those energies, those frequencies, that knowledge that is able to be given to us now. And 1,000 years from now, 1,500 years from now, that knowledge book will still contain the same words. However, we will be at a different consciousness level, and the time consciousness at that time will be in the knowledge book at that time, and that knowledge book at that time, 1,500 years from now, will be giving us that knowledge for which we cannot see at this particular point in time. So this is, when they're talking about a time machine, the knowledge book is a time machine. It is able to absorb into itself whatever is present at that time, plus all historical knowledge and all historical energies that came prior to the time that we're reading it. And when we're doing the Knowledge Book reading program, and this is the formal program that starts on February 19th every year, where we read Fascicule 1 on February 19th, Fascicule 2 February 20th, Fascicule 3 on February 21st, and so on down the line. When we read that Knowledge Book, the first time that we read through it, our energies are being absorbed into the Knowledge Book. So eventually all of our energies will be in that book. So this is one level of unification of humanity. And we are able, those of us who are reading the Knowledge Book are able to absorb not only our own energies, but other people's energies as well. So we're all getting to be at one consciousness level. Eventually we'll be able to be at the same evolutionary frequency and consciousness level. And the Knowledge Book reading program is one of the programs that allows us to grow and to evolve. And now we come to, maybe now is a time to maybe take a short break from the questions. So just want to remind you that you have been listening to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Ptaszek. And to remind everyone that our website is www.usa.theknowledgebook.net. Turkish website is www.davidkiteboy-mevlana. I forgot it. Never mind. So, but anyways, is dkb-mevlana.org.tr. Sorry, my telephone number is 973-787-7035. Email is mmjp99@gmail.com. MaryJohnPeter99@gmail.com. Okay, so we will continue with further listener questions when we come back from break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Introducing the Lucid Planet, a digital gathering place featuring cutting-edge, high-vibrational content that will empower and inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. Visit the Lucid Planet today to stimulate your mind, body, and soul as you connect with a global community of like-minded people. The Lucid Planet is edited by renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly Neff, who is here to help you cope with anxiety, connect to your higher purpose, uncover your true passions, and live your dreams. Dr. Kelly's fresh, compassionate perspective emphasizes growth, transformation, healing, and thriving. Even in the face of adversity, say goodbye to bad news and low vibrational media for good and become part of the larger collective of people working together to navigate the global shift of consciousness and transform the world from within. Join the planet, the Lucid Planet. Visit thelucidplanet.com. Welcome home.
Introducing New Soul Science, an introductory course with Ruby Betty, offering profound wisdom alongside radically simple concepts and techniques that collapse time, allowing instantaneous personal transformation. The foundational techniques of this introductory course reveal the profound inner ability each human has to access and fulfill their individual soul script or soul promise. Awakening this ability leads to the mastery of one's destiny. The concepts are totally original, immensely powerful, and completely revolutionary. They ignite an infinite fire within each listener, fueling one's ability to live out their unique soul promise. Are you ready to become more aware and access amazing personal transformation? This course is available now at rubybetty.co.
This is Debbie Pokornik with a break-free parenting tip. If you haven't been practicing active listening or are getting into some bad habits, it's a good idea to go back to the basics and remind yourself how to be a good listener. Here's an idea that might help. When your child comes to you with a story about her day, set aside whatever you're doing and give her your full attention. If you're in the middle of something that can't be put aside, tell her that you really want to be able to give her story your full attention and ask if you could continue the conversation at a specific time. So for example, this sounds like an important story and I'd really like to give it my full attention. Can we talk about it in 10 minutes when supper's in the oven? Active listening might sound like common sense, but often it's these simple skills that get buried in our parenting pack and easily forgotten or overlooked. Challenge yourself to practice this skill for a full week and see if you notice a difference in how much your child is sharing.
For information and to work with Debbie, visit empoweringnrg.com.
Okay, and we're back on the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Ptaszek on Transformation Talk Radio. And of course, the website, our website for the U.S. is www.usa.theknowledgebook.net. The telephone number is 973-787-7035. Email address is mmjp99@gmail.com. Now, if you have one of our cards or one of maybe the old information, our old website was www.theknowledgebook.org. However, even if you use that address, you will be redirected to our new website without a problem. Okay, so that's that. So we'll continue with listener questions. And the next question is, what is this conditioning mentioned in the knowledge book, and how do we get rid of it? So conditioning in and of itself, if you think about conditioning in the classical sense of conditioning on as far as psychology is concerned, conditioning is a method, is a training method by which you or whatever, whether it's a parakeet or a dog or a cat or a human, is trained to accomplish a task and learn a task that didn't know before. So there's classical conditioning and operant conditioning. In classical conditioning, this is, if you remember Pavlov's dog, this is the dog, basically, when he was put into a cage, and he was hungry, he was given food, and of course when someone or dog or any being that eats and they're hungry and they're presented with food, automatic process of salivation occurs in the mouth. So basically what Pavlov did is every time that food was presented to the test subject, in this case a dog, the dog would start salivating, but at that same time, a bell was rung. And eventually, that salivation response was produced by the bell ringing without the food being introduced. So basically, they produced a learning, a conditioning in that dog where not the food, which is the usual stimulus, but the ringing of the bell actually produced the response of salivation. So this was a conditioned response. This was a learned response where that being or that animal or that human not produced the same result, however, from a different stimulus. That's one way of looking at it. That's the classical conditioning. However, in operant conditioning, this is where a certain behavior is rewarded or inhibited by a pleasurable or a inhibitory response, meaning someone gets a pat on the back, someone gets a banana, someone gets a piece of candy for an action that individual wants to train the other individual to do. So this is the way, let's say, a cat or a dog, well, maybe not a cat as much because they're independent creatures, but they can be trained in a way to cats can be trained as well, but that's more difficult with them. However, dogs can be trained to sit, to heel, to quietly walk on the street, to be able to obey the commands given to it. Now, this is also how a parakeet can learn how to ride a bicycle or maybe fly through hoops of fire. Or this is also how other beings or other entities are able to learn tasks that they normally would not have learned. So this is how also we teach children, because the best method that they have found is always the method of rewards. If you pat someone on the head and they give them a piece of candy, give them some kind of a reward for the action that is desired, meaning sitting still at the table or eating properly at the table, or, arriving on time, or studying, or getting a good result on tests, all these behaviors that we want, they can be inculcated, that can be produced by a positive response to whatever that they are doing. Now, this conditioning that we are using could be on the positive side and could also be on the negative side. Positive conditioning, as far as I'm concerned, is that conditioning that allows us to learn those traits, those qualities like honesty, like being on time, like being studious, like being cooperative, all those by being loving, by being altruistic. This is how positive responses are being trained, and this is being done by religions, this is being done by schools, this is being done by parents. This is all being done in our environment. Now, however, there's also the negative stuff that we're producing, and that could also be produced by a different kind of conditioning. Now, innately, we have this thing called ego, we have this thing called family, we have this idea that because we are a human, we are out there to survive. We are out there to make sure that our biological body is able to survive and to be able to thrive and to be able to take care of ourselves and be able to take care of our families. So when we are in that kind of an environment where we are basically conditioned to save ourselves, protect only ourselves, and supply all the qualities or the characteristics or whatever we want in terms of physical abilities and physical food and shelter and clothing that we need, we sometimes are conditioned to also not care about other individuals. So our ego basically is something that'll be self-centered. It'll put itself first and put that individual first and the cost of someone else. When you're being altruistic, and this is where the religions come in, it is the essence that is being arrived at. It is the essence that is the ruling party, and it is the essence that allows us to basically get closer and closer to the level of God, and gets closer and closer to being what our essence actually is. And our essence, if you remember, our essence is God. We have a little bit of God, or all the spark of the Creator. So love and light is our essence. And if love and light is our essence, why do we have wars? Why do we have conflicts? Why can we not live with each other and accept each other? Well, this is where that ego comes in, and that ego that separates us from everyone else. So what happens? We come in at a particular dimension. We come into an individual family somewhere on this planet. And everywhere on our planet, we have our own particular ways of living, ways of dressing, ways of cutting our hair, way of eating, way of living. And even though we may be familiar with and we are okay with the way we ourselves live, however, when we come to other beings, and right now our planet is becoming a mixed venue of humans because we have all kinds of people living next door to us that were not living to us maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago. We are no longer, unilaterally Polish, unilaterally Italian, unilaterally Russian, or whatever country that we're in. There is always people that come from other cultures, other ways of doing things. So those things that make us comfortable in our own particular culture makes us also uncomfortable and tend to reject those individuals from another culture. So we have found humongous number of ways to basically separate ourselves, to basically say we're okay, but the other is not. We have different ways, social mores, social skills, social way of doing things. Where we have on the West, only by, let's say, how to address people. In the United States, everyone is to be called by their first names, whether that's your boss or the president of the company or your child, or your mother, or your mother's, the friend, your friend's mother, they are to be addressed by their first names. Well, because that's accepted to be friendly and open, and that's how it works in the U.S. However, in other countries, this is not acceptable, even between adults. In Poland, older people are always addressed in the third person. For example, is Madam going to the store, and never in the second person, meaning are you going to the store? Even if someone is just a little bit older, they are addressed as Sir or Madam by a younger person, or Mr. or Mrs. by a younger person. Now, in Korea, everyone addresses everyone else by their title, meaning it is not Mary, it is, mother-in-law. It is not John, it is father-in-law. And this is even done at home when the wife is addressed as Johnny's mother and the husband is addressed as Johnny's father, even though it is the mother saying this. So even on the family level, on the internal family level, they do not call each other by their first names, but by their title in the family, whether it's mother-in-law, father-in-law, son-in-law, whatever it is, daughter-in-law. They all have a specific title and they are addressed by that title. And addressing them by their first name is basically insulting. So if we have all these social conditionings that we have, and we also have the conditioning of fear, this is where we protect ourselves and we are able to save ourselves in dangerous situations. However, that fear separates us from everyone else. So when the religions came in, there were a methodology to basically allow us to evolve and to grow and to be conditioned on the positive side. And the celestial authorities devised plans so that humans would evolve towards higher thought frequencies and higher consciousness levels. And over millions of lifetimes and over millions of centuries, there are many plans that were implemented to allow humans to evolve, for humans to be able to be on a positive side, meaning producing positive thoughts as opposed to negative thoughts. And the entire thing was for us to be able to draw down cosmic energies with thought power. Now, the human is the only being who is capable of transcending dimensions with thought. So we are able to reach dimensions even our creators cannot reach. And this is that's why all the positive conditioning has been given to us. This is why all those sacred books have been conditioning us all along to be altruistic, to be accepting, to be tolerant, to be patient, to be loving. And also, on the positive side, the world also has been conditioning people to study, to work, to be diligent, to be able to preserve the economy, to preserve themselves and be able to subsist, okay? And that's why they're also inculcating positive qualities like honesty, good study skills, promptness, diligence, discipline, perseverance, and so on. So the entire focus is for us to be able to learn different things. So how does this affect, how does this done by the book? Okay, so the knowledge book itself has conditioning in it, because what happens is this: if we are actually focusing on trying to understand the fascinating, every word in the knowledge book is a key, a frequency key to a specific dimension. When we are at the frequency level, at the evolution level, to be at that energy dimension, at that frequency key, then the entire dimension opens it up. And basically, how is conditioning gotten rid of? By studying the knowledge book, by reading the knowledge book, by working with its programs, by overcoming and by working and going through our thresholds, by going through our experiences, by going through our examinations. And how do we overcome a conditioning? We overcome it through opposites. This is the time where We always need someone else. We always need something else to be able to overcome whatever lessons we still need to learn. And we are able then to learn and evolve and go forward. Now, we transcend dimensions by being trained in a particular dimension. Now, the thing is, humans can only leave one dimension by being trained by the next higher dimension. But it looks like we're running out of time. So we'll continue maybe with this topic, maybe next time, maybe another time, and continue with enough time to cover. So again, please do call us with any questions or topics that you would like covered. We do still have the 3 chapters of the Knowledge Book that we can mail out to you should you want to have some experience with the Knowledge Book on your own without having to purchase the entire book. And please do tune in every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time for the Knowledge Book radio program with Marge Ptaszek. And we could also schedule conferences, so please do call us. And humanity's verdict is in humanity's hands. As the Knowledge Book states, and Mrs. Chirac frequently reminds us, you are the ones who will save the world. Thank you. See you next time.
You've been listening to Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Ptaszek. Marge was led to the Knowledge Book, a gift to humanity, and its time of transition to the Golden Age that provided the truth and energies and frequencies. Now, she shares information from and answers questions about the Knowledge Book with you each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information, visit Marge at usa.theknowledgebook.net.